Day 74, AI blogging. Not gonna lie, still a little frustrated with the progress that I'm making and what is happening inside of ChatGPT. We are making progress, but my chat buddy, my AI assistant, has gone a little off the rails, and that's where we're going to start today. Inside of ChatGPT, in yesterday's update, we were talking about the plugin and the fact that I think the plugin was the problem. Here, I've changed plugins. I'm using WebPilot and the SEO Core AI plugin, and I just simply started basically where I left off, trying to do this or give it an assignment or a task in bulk, meaning I want to give it all of the URLs, read the blog post, and then WebPilot's going to kick in. It's going to do that. And then I wanted to do step number 2, identify the rich anchor text for the internal links in each blog post, and then give it the final step, step 3, build a table with the following information so I can add to my blog post tracker where I'm tracking these internal links. WebPilot kicks off, and then it gives me this information here. Here is the information from the 10th blog post. Where did I say give me the information for the 10th blog post? So it gave me the information, and the information is correct. Okay, so that's okay. Okay, this is not exactly what I asked for. Let's try again. For each blog post, URL provided table with the following information. And of course, that is the headings from the blog post tracker that we all know and love. And then it came back and it just gave me NA, not applicable, not applicable. So you're telling me that there's no anchor text. But then for number 9, it started giving me anchor text. So again, frustrated, a little off the rails. So I continue the conversation. So for number 2, you couldn't find this anchor text. I apologize for the oversight. At least with WebPilot, my chat buddy is being polite and apologizing for the error and oversight or the confusion. Here is the corrected information, okay? And then it said, I will now proceed to recheck the other blog post to ensure all the internal links with anchor text are identified correctly. And then my chat buddy didn't do anything. So I said, you said, I will now proceed to recheck the other blog post to ensure all internal links with anchor text are correctly identified. So please do that and rebuild the table. So WebPilot kicks off. And I will say that WebPilot and SEO Core AI never get stuck in a loop like we saw with Link Reader. And again, being polite, I apologize for the delay. I've rechecked the blog post and identified for the anchor text for the internal links. And this is starting to look like something that I was thinking was going to be good. But you can see here, it just started repeating itself. And again, I'm like, what are we doing? Frustration setting in. And then it comes back and it says, please note that the anchor text is a paraphrase of the actual text found in the blog post that contains the internal link. The actual text may vary slightly. Okay, so now here we are again with me saying incorrect. Let me give you a correction to see if you can fix the rest. And a lot of this is, like I said, it's back and forth having a conversation, and I don't know if my input or the way that I'm phrasing it or what I'm asking for, it just can't make sense of, and it's just giving me information based upon what it's trying to figure out what I'm saying. Again, who knows? But towards the end of the conversation, you're going to see we got back to that one thing at a time and things start to get better. But for now, here I am trying to get it to give me the information and give me the rest of the table. And here you can see off the rails, WebPilot just goes and it doesn't give me a table, but it does give me the correct information for this blog post. It pulled all of the anchor text and all of the links and it's spot on. So again, I'm back to that point where I'm like, okay, it is able to give me one task. Correct. Now do that for all the blog posts in a table and use exact anchor text. A paraphrase does not help me solve the task I need done. So I'm trying to get back to this idea, this concept of giving it a task in bulk. So I can say, here are 9 posts, right? I would love for it to be able to do that, but if it can't, well, then it can't. So it comes back and it says, here's the anchor text and this corresponding URL for the blog post. And it gives me the blog post title and it gives me the link. So at this point, again, frustration is starting to set in, or frustration is still here. It set in yesterday. And we are you able to correct all the information in the table? Here's the corrected information in the table. What in the world is this? Like, I have no idea what it's doing. This table is not in the post. Like, if you go to that post, it's not there. And then it's talking about telescope diameters for radio and gamma ray telescopes. And at this point, I just said, what is the table that you just gave me? I'm confused on the table you just provided. Please explain how it's part of the task to correct the following table. And I gave it the table that I wanted to correct with the information, with the anchor text that I'm looking for the internal links for. So then WebPilot kicks off and it explains what's going on. It gives me a ton of information here about what it's trying to do. And at that point, I read it. It's really good information. The information's correct. So at least we're getting correct information now. But I said, thank you. Do this. This process should be repeated for each entry in the table to ensure all the information is accurate and up to date. I put that in quotes because it's what it told me. And then I say, and update the table when you are finished. Then here's what happens. Here's the updated entry for the third entry. Or here's the updated information for the third entry. And you can see it called WebPilot, it called SEO Core AI, called WebPilot, then it called SEO Core AI again. Then it said, let's move on to the next entry. I just went ahead and said, okay, again, not what I wanted or need. And then it proceeds based upon that input. Okay, again, not what I wanted or need. It starts to do an analysis of the web page. Again, all great information. It's accurate. SEO Core AI is going out, pulling down the information, giving me a lot of great information about the analysis of the web page. And I'm happy for that information. But again, not what I wanted. So I try a different approach. Okay, let's start over. Assign a number 1 through 10 to each of these URLs. The reason I'm doing this is because just like in yesterday's update, I think that I'm going to have to say, okay, assign a number to each one of these URLs. Now we're going to do this task for each one of these URLs, numbered 1 through 10. And I'm going to give it the input one at a time versus giving it a bulk input or a task in bulk and saying, just check these off and do them for me. It just doesn't appear that it can pull down this much information and then keep it all in its memory, reference it, and then give me correct information. It's like it pulls it all down, and then at some point it just cuts it off and decides it's going to start paraphrasing, decides it's just going to start giving you information that it thinks is good information. And actually, when you go through this, it's like, okay, some of this isn't bad, right? So I move on to the next step and I say, for number 1, give me exact anchor text for the internal link. A paraphrase does not help me solve the task I need done. And then start building a table with the following information because I'm just trying to get that table so I can literally copy and paste it over into my spreadsheet. The ironic part of this is I'm trying to use my AI assistant to save time, but I can't quite figure out how to communicate with it to get it to give me the information. And if I would have just copied and pasted this information, I would already be done. A lot of times I think automation, and even like when I spent 30 years in IT, lots of times I'd try to figure out how to solve something doing automation, but when the task could just be easily be done quickly. But the thing is, once you figure out the automation and you nail it down and you get it correct, then the time that you save in the future is what you're going for. And remember, that's really what we're doing here. When we interface with artificial intelligence and AI at any level, we're looking to create an assembly line, a process, and then that's where you get the prompt, right? And then once you have that prompt set, then you can just use that prompt again and again and again. But again, at this point, I think the problem is, the issue is giving it so much data or asking it to pull so much data into chat and then have it try to crunch all that data and get exact information is a task it's not capable of doing for me, or I'm just not asking it correctly and staging it right so it has time to pause maybe and then buffer it and then figure out the exact anchor text. But anyway, we're going to go on with this, and you can see that this has given me a table and it says, let's start building the table. Now at this point, I'm looking and I say, okay, let's take a look at this anchor text. And this anchor text is supposed to be in this blog post. So open up this blog post and I'm going to search for that anchor text. You can see here, this is not actually a link. So I'll close this and you can see this is not a link. Now, this would actually be good anchor text. I like the suggestion, but the anchor text doesn't exist. And it says, I will continue with the remaining blog post to complete the table. So it didn't continue, and I have to actually tell it, please continue and do number 2. And at this point, the frustration starts to sort of slowly move aside. And I start understanding, okay, you made a good suggestion here. And actually, I do like that suggestion, and I am going to add that anchor text. But the number 2, the next one, is when I copy this into the buffer, and then I go to this blog post and I do a search. Aha, now I am happy. The frustration, the levels of frustration are starting to go down because now it is working. And now I'm moving through and I say, please continue and do number 3. Number 3 is correct. Then I say, please continue and do number 4. And number 4 is correct. And it's updating the table. And the frustration levels are going down, down, down. Then I get to number 5 and frustration through the roof. Again, this is a limitation. I've reached the current usage because it took me so long to get to the point of the conversation, the input, the back and forth. I've used up and I've hit my usage cap for GPT-4, and I can't continue again until 10:38 today. That's about an hour away from the time I'm filming this video, but I wanted to get this update out to you and show you the frustration that continues, but I did get the information I was looking for. And I think it's just a limitation again on the fact that I'm trying to ask it to pull all this data and then give me exact points of data in there. So again, it's just a computer. It has to buffer that. It has to use memory and computing cycles to do all that. And on the back end, it just doesn't have the horsepower, or they don't give it enough memory or buffer. And part of this is the things they're working on. And that's all part of the program, the application. That's out of the scope of what I'm talking about here because I just wanted to do the task. But I think you can overwhelm it. And that's what I've seen at this point. It's frustrating to me, probably frustrating to other people, might be frustrating to you. If it is, let me know in the comments. Love to hear your thoughts on that. But at this point, I'm stuck waiting for an hour to go in and finish the task to see if it actually completes it. And I think it will because we're doing it one at a time. It gave me a lot of great information. I've had a lot of fun going back and forth with it. I'm learning. I'm enjoying the process. And really, at the end of the day, I'm more interested in the content that it creates for me to post on my blog than I am for it automating tasks or trying to be such a big time saver for me to just be able to copy and paste and update the internal links. I think that's a nice add. That's a great value add to the process, but it's definitely not a requirement. The requirement for me is it create high quality content that when people search on Google and they find it because the content we created is indexed and ranked, that people read it and then they are like, yes, this is great content. And then of course they click on the links. And for me and you as an affiliate marketer, that means that we have the potential to earn a commission. If you're having fun and you're enjoying this, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.